Good evening, everyone. I'm Dave Barable, pinch hitting for Blaise Brodeur. Blaise is on assignment here at Northeast Racing Media. Before we get going, we'd like to thank our sponsors, the good folks at Glastonbury Cleaning Service, Rent a Race Car in Berlin. If you have the need to go racing, see the good folks at Rent a Race Car, and Nick's Auto Service on Route 80 down in Brantford, Connecticut. I'm joined tonight via phone, as we're all hooked up, by the two men who battled for the 2019 championship at the Stafford Motor Speedway in the limited late model division. That is two-time defending champion Jeremy Leroy and Matt Clement. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So first we'll go to Jeremy. And Jeremy, we'll go back to last season. 5 wins on the season, 19 top 5s, 20 top 10s. What are you going to do to top 2019?
We're going to try to make it a repeat of a season as much as we can. We all know how that can change week to week, lap by lap. But we got high hopes coming in with a strong setup this year. I think we got a little better handle on the tires than we did last year. Trying to keep the car under us a little bit better. But we're itching to get back to the track. It's been a long off season. So, week by week, the car sits under the cover, unfortunately. But it is a beauty queen under it. But it isn't a show car, so we're hoping to get back to the track and knock off some more wins, add some more win stickers to that quarter window, and see if we can't go three-peat.
All right, now we'll switch to the man who finished a scant 4 points behind Jeremy and Matt Clement. And Matt, what do you need to do in 2020 to catch Jeremy?
I think we need to prove that last year wasn't a fluke and that we're real competitors out there. So we're going to try our hardest to go out there and repeat what we did last year. That 7 wins felt pretty good. My dad keeps telling me, don't worry about the 7 wins, just finish up front and keep the car in one piece. But those wins feel pretty good, especially like Jeremy said, when you're putting those win stickers on the quarter window.
Well, I know I was able to interview after one of your wins one night last year, and you said, geez, you stunk up the show. But I don't think anytime you come home with a win, you can say you really stunk up the show.
Yeah, I mean, every one of those wins, I must have watched the video 25 times now. I mean, even when we were kind of way out in front with guys battling behind us, it was still a heck of a lot of fun to come across the line first.
Now, guys, I know you got some tough competition as we get ready to go into 2020. You got to look at the fast ladies of the division in Alexandra Fern and Tess Spire. You got Andrew Duran. Gary Patnode has taken a few wins from you guys. And a young man that I've seen have success in the trucks, Lucas Leone, joins the division. So what do you think of the competitors, guys, when they get ready to go racing in 2020?
I think it's going to be very competitive. We know anybody can win any given night. It's all about position on the track, start of the race. But like Matt said, podiums are huge. You got to finish in the top 3 every week. But I'm looking forward to the competition this year. I have much respect for Matt, racing Matt on the track. And Alexandra, she's a tough competitor. Respect her out there. And Gary as well. Gary proved himself this year, and Matt himself too, coming out with 7 wins. So it's not an easy feat. It's just the next one's just as hard as the first one. So you just got to keep yourself in position to finish well in the top 3 every week. And, who knows who's going to win. We'll probably see more winners than we did last year just based upon the competition level.
And Matt, let's get your feelings.
Yeah, I have to agree with Jeremy on that one. We got a lot of experience coming into the division this year, even with just the returning competitors like Alexandra and Gary, but also guys like Rich Hammond that are coming into the division who have he's run Stafford before. Lucas Leone was putting up some pretty good lap times last year with only a couple outings. So I think it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. I enjoy passing cars, so it'll be a good time.
All right, guys, well, let's take the fans through what you guys have been doing prepping to get ready to go racing. We all got some good news today that Stafford's going to be able to run some practices and get those cars back out on the track so you guys can get some track time. How do you feel about that?
I feel it's a positive message that we got today. Whether it's just going to be practicing for a while and when we can actually get back to the track at a full capacity, we don't know. But in the long run, I've been watching Northeast Racing media videos, studying my lines throughout the years when the car is ill handling what I've been doing, watching other competitors race and their lines and what they're doing, just trying to get as much knowledge as I can and put my right foot forward when I finally get out on the track.
Matt, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely exciting news today to see that. I was kind of thinking doom and gloom the past couple weeks, looking at the reopening stages for the state. But I think, it's great that Stafford is going to be able to put on some practices. And my dad and I have already talked about getting some practice time out there for not only myself, but for my younger brother who's joining the division. So, I mean, anytime I get a chance to smash the gas pedal and turn left is a good time. So.
Well, let's talk about your in the division and give us a little bit of his experience in racing.
Say that again, Dave.
I was saying, Matt, let's talk about your brother Jay. I know he did one race last year in the division, but let's talk a little bit more about his experiences as a race car driver.
Well, he started off his career helping us in the pits, and my father and I had been building a Super X over the years for me to actually compete in at the Waterford Speed Bowl. But when my dad stepped away from the limited division and let me race the 59, my brother turned that into his car for the Speed Bowl. So I believe he went out and he made 6 or 7 starts at the Speed Bowl 2 years ago. He started showing some speed right off the bat. I mean, car had a great setup in it from Jay Stewart, and he was showing good speed. Just he kept getting unlucky, running into wrecks, getting dumped. The frame got bent a couple times, so I think that taught him when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive, and that cars don't turn very well when you're standing on the brake pedal. But he came out in the division in one showing last year. I mean, he was putting down pretty good lap times for somebody who's never sat in a race car at Stafford Speedway, let alone driven around the track in one. So we're excited to see what he can do with the car. The car has some feature wins up at Monadnock with Tyler Leary behind the wheel. So we're just excited to see what he can do and what the car can do.
All right, Jeremy, we've kind of got that. Matt's got a team car to get out there in the battle. Is there any plans for anybody for a team car for the number 6 machine?
No, I think if anything, I would try to focus on running a track like Monadnock or, a lot of people don't know I actually had an offer to drive an SK Light this year at Thompson, and with all this going on in the shortened season over at Thompson, unfortunately that has fallen through, but I'd like to branch out to go to some other tracks. Stafford will always be my home track, but as far as a team car, I think I would build another car and run other tracks in the area and just get some seat time at those tracks.
All right, guys, for both of you, let's kind of go way back. And what got you started? And I'll start with Jeremy first. What brought you into the sport of motor racing?
I was around it when I was a young kid back in Riverside and Agawam, and I was too young to go in the pits, but my whole family had raced, so that drew me there every Saturday night. And throughout the course of the week, I would be out there not being any help, but I'd be hanging around the race cars and just learning. And eventually, when I graduated college, my uncle said he was going to buy me a race car. We're going to go race at Stafford. I didn't believe him at first, but then when I came home from college, the car was here, ready to go. 2 days home, out on the tracks as their weekend, finished 10th. They didn't know if I was going to like it. I came out of the car with the biggest smile I think I've ever had, and it just stemmed from there. Then I found a Limited that was kind of beat up, had been wrecked a few times and made it my project car to be where it is now, and it is still the same car. New front and rear clips over the years, of course, but ever since I was a young kid, I ran the big wheel races up at Agawam, so at Riverside, so I've been around racing my whole life, and it was bound to happen one year or another.
That's a great start. And now we'll go to Matt. Matt, what brought you into motor racing?
Well, actually, I got my dad here with me, so I got to blame him for the addiction to auto racing. He started racing back in the late 80s, early 90s at the Waterford Speed Bowl in the strictly stock division. And I was at the track a couple times here and there as a kid. Don't really remember it much. And then he actually started running a Pro 4 modified all throughout New England when I was in elementary school and middle school. So I always remember seeing the modified in the garage, seeing it come home from races with wheels ripped off, with the motor blown, and seeing the big smile on my dad's face after that. Must have really drawn me into the sport. But he ended up selling that modified, and he got a limited late model for Stafford. And he went out a few times the first year or two, and he seemed to enjoy it. So when I was a freshman in high school, I asked him if I could go help him in the pits up at Stafford. Don't tell the roots, but I was probably 14 at the time. And he...
That's okay, they can know now.
And he said, yeah, sure, why don't you come out and see if you like it. So I started helping him in the pits every week, and I think the first 6 or 7 years I went to the track with him, I think I only missed one race because I was on vacation that he was in. So that started the addiction for me. And then when my sister had her first child, my niece Olivia, my mom had told my dad, all right, well, you're a grandfather now, we need you around, so I think it's time to step away from the car. And my younger brother Jay and my older brother Scott really had never showed the kind of interest in it that I had. So my dad said, oh, why don't you go out for a practice? It was the end of the year. He said, why don't you go out for a practice? We got a track rental. And I must have stalled the car 14 times trying to get it out onto the track. I'd never driven a standard before, never driven a race car before. And my dad tells the story to this day. From the moment I got out of the car like Jeremy said, with a massive smile on my face, he knew it was over for him. So from there on, he finished out the season after that, and then the next year I took over driving, or wrecking, I should say, the first few years. I think actually my first year in the division was the same year that Jeremy came into the division, so we've been racing together for a long time there. So.
And I do remember Mr. Baggett did tell me that your dad and he were racing buddies, actually working together, I believe, on the car 40 years ago or so. So there's a definite connection there. And I understand those guys that you're at the studio, there's a pretty snappy little race car, an SK Light, sitting there that Robert Bloxham will be driving.
Yeah, I think fenders have more fun personally, but it's a pretty nice looking ride here. And Robert Bloxham, Jeremy and I both competed against him in the limiteds. He was always pretty stout competition, even if he was taking me out on the last lap. But it's a good looking car. It looks like it's going to be a pretty fast hot rod this year for them.
All right, guys, both of you, let's get out the people that help you get to the track, because they support the sport.
Yeah, I got to thank, first and foremost, my biggest sponsor, L&S Equipment, Aspen Hill Farms. He helps out a lot. Unfortunately, he was going to have some pony rides at the Spring Slizzard this year. Don't know if that's actually going to happen, but that was something we were looking forward to. Jeans Ford and Chevy out of Holyoke, Delivery Solutions LLC, P2 Perry Powder Coatings, Raincoat Collision Repair for painting the body for me every year. Always comes out awesome. I got Cobos Landscaping on this year, and I'm going to be adding a new one, Riley Electric. And I always got to thank RRC for the awesome chassis, and Northeast Racing Media for the coverage that he provides on a weekly basis.
Well, first and foremost, I got to thank Elmo's Dockside Restaurant of Vernon, Connecticut. He supported me a ton over the past few years. I also got to thank Derek Martyr from Aquatic Wildlife. Without the two of them, it wouldn't have been possible to have the run that we had last year with them paying the first few sets of tires for the year. I also have to thank Wayne's Auto Body for the killer paint jobs every year on the car. This thing looks like a show car by the time I get it out on the track to run into stuff. So I also got to thank DMW Vinyl Graphic for the killer wraps on the car the past few years. We keep going with the throwback schemes, and Dennis Ray from DMW, he just knocks it out of the park every time. And then lastly, I got to thank the Short Track Baker, Stoney, for the awesome carrot cake. I swear every time he gave me a carrot cake cupcake, I ended up on the podium or winning the race last year. So got to thank him. And then I also have to thank, of course, the guy standing next to me here, the money, the brains. My dad, he supported me a lot over the years. A lot of wrecks, a lot of long nights. It was fun to finally get some hardware for him last year. Got to thank my mom for putting up with us in the garage for so long. Got to thank my brothers, Jay and Scott, for the help that they provide at the track. Their girlfriends, Jamie and Brittany. I got to thank JMD Chassis for the setup. I mean, the thing's just been killer the past few years. Frank Latois for the welding on the car. I got to thank my sister Kate for all the awesome, cheering she does in the stands. She said she'd kill me if I didn't thank her this year. So I got to thank Sully and Deb. They're always helping us. Frank Latois, like I said, he does some awesome welding on the car. I mean, he must have put 30 or 40 bumpers on the car over the past 6 years, so wouldn't be here without him either.
Yeah, I also got to thank my family. Don't want to forget them. My father, my aunt, my uncle, my sister for her support. And, they always stick behind me 100% and always giving me good advice, trying to better myself, and always giving me the confidence I need to go out there with a level head.
And guys, we'd certainly like to thank you for being with us tonight at Northeast Racing Media, giving the fans a little bit of insight as we get ready. And all of us believe that we are going to be on the track hopefully soon. Once again, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Glastonbury Cleaning Service,